a board, but we pass along information to our members, and the information between all police departments flows around fairly quickly. Uh, People write their own personal letters, make their own personal phone calls too. That's encouraged too.
That's good. Thank you.
Finally, where the money goes. Oh, I'm
Excuse me,
sorry.
I'm sorry if we can interrupt again, Mr. Mayor?
Actually, it was done, but I did want to correct one thing on the slide one. On mayor's appointments, I think there's two. And the reason I point that out is Evelyn, our treasurer by tradition, serves on this board. But really, Evelyn does not have that responsibility. She is volunteering to do it, and I thank her for her service.
We do pay about $520,000 a year in benefits. This is amongst 13 current retirees, spouses of retirees who have passed away, and disability claims, which we have one right now. We really do have minimal administrative expenses. Our cost basis is about 80 basis points, which anyone involved in investing knows that's a pretty reasonable sum. It comes out to about $130,000 a year. That includes our investment manager, our advisor, accountant, actuarial studies, and our attorney. And looks like I've lost the ability to move on. Just lastly, if anyone has any questions, and at any time, we give you a copy of the Treasury report. If you want to look at either our investment policy, the IML report, or the IPPFA report, feel free to call anytime. We'll get it to you. So, any questions?
I think you did a great job going through it. Thank you. That item was for information only. The next item on our agenda is or actually, it was listed as report and recommendation. Mr. Vesta, are you looking for any kind of motion from us, or just information only?
Report, kind of show you where your investment in us is going and the status of the fund at that point.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Item for information only. Then our next item is a report and recommendation for further discussion of the tourism fund community events. And I'll hand it back to Mr. Manager.
We have finalized the tourism fund, and since finalizing the fund, we had some changes as far as to what direction we are going to go with some of the special events, and the mayor had suggested that we open this up for discussion, so we give you an update on where we're at. Would you like me to explain, or Alderman Wesley?
Alderman Wesley?
What was presented at the tourism fund on the special event was a 3-day fest that would be going on up by the new property that we have purchased. Since then, there's been some changes in the proposals and changes on the 3-day event. We have now, because there was a lot of conflicts with some organizations, and we finally smoothed those all out, we are now keeping the Sound of Summers up there, and we're moving the Jubilee picnic back to the Grove, and it's going to be a 2-day event instead of a 3-day event. We will not be having a carnival this year, due to the fact is we are really tight for time on that, and there was a lot of discussions about that. So we added some good bands this year. Next year, we are looking to move it back up there and see how it goes this year with the 2-day event. So why we wanted to bring this back up, we just want the board to be aware of that there's been some changes on that was proposed to the tourism fund on the event when they came forward with us with a 3-day event. Now it is now going down to a 2-day event, and it will be on a Friday and Saturday night only. I guess the Sound of Summer stays the same, and the dates will be August 10th and August 11th. The August 10th, there's couple bands there. There's bingo going to be done there. The Jubilee picnic will be on Saturday, and we just want to bring it back to you that there was some changes in the revenue. But we did also, we did address those concerns that we had brought up at the last committee about dumping electric up there, how that. We are going to work that issue back and see what that's going to cost if we decide to switch back to there next year. So we just wanted to bring it back to the board, saying that it has changed now to a 2-day event. So I don't know if the mayor has anything to say to add on that I might have missed, but that's, we want to keep you informed on that.
And then are we still doing the pet parade?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, did you wish to add anything before I call on Alderman Coles?
No, he did a fine job. One of the reasons we moved it back, there was concern from the firework vendor about shooting off the fireworks at the town center site, and he thought the existing site would be a safer location.
Alderman Coles?
I have a question. What if it rains them 2 days? Have you got an alternate weekend set up yet?
We do not have an alternate weekend. We do have standby provision that the music would move inside the junior high.
Oh, okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Alderman Ptolemy?
So I just want to make sure I understand. So no events will be held this year down here?
No,
Alderman Wesley?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
The Sound of Summers will be held down there.
Oh, okay.
So Jubilee picnic and a
Is-
2-day event.
That's just going to go
is
back up the
going
Grove?
back to the Grove.
Okay, okay,
But the Sound of Summer is slated for there.
Okay.
We did not change that at all.
okay. And then the next question I had has to do with, you know what, and I just went brain dead. It has something to do with with this, okay?
I'll call on Alderman Subak, then I'll come back to you. How about that? Alderman Subak?
Before you had asked for an increase in the budget for the community events because it was going from 1 day to 3 days, what's the reduction of the budget requested now by Mr. Wesley now that you're going from 3 days to 2 days? Maybe that was your question, Dave. Oh.
You know what, I got a tentative budget, but these are only tentative. I mean, because we don't know what the price is going to be. I got a ballpark figure.
I mean, didn't we have some of those figures in last time that we needed to go to, I don't remember the numbers now, but 65,000 in addition to the Historical Society, whatever the numbers were, that was, hey, we need this money because we're going to pull electrical there, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And now the mayor is very good at these budget things. He's been doing it a long time. Now that budget's going to get passed, and then community events going to come in and say, hey, we spent less money than we were budgeted, and we didn't realize that actually we cut it down to 2 days. So I think not tonight, but at some point, that budget should come back to the committee and be approved before any money is expended.
Alderman Wesley?
And I agree in that part, but are you looking at us to, the tourism fund was approved already, are you looking to revisit tourism fund and reducing it out of this year's budget, or leaving it the same and still, I mean, we probably won't spend it, I guarantee, I mean, but. Well, you know what, we kept it under last year, okay? And we did look at other issues, and I agree, but I mean, if you want to revisit it, budget, that's fine, but I mean, then that's going to delay final approval of the budget.
As a formality, we haven't passed the budget yet, and I'm not asking to revisit. We can leave the budget around, but I'm just saying that before any monies are expended for community events, that should come back to the finance committee at a future meeting to say, when we asked for 65,000, this was for 3 days. This is what we were able to, cut. I don't want to see all of a sudden at the summer picnic that now not only do they get a free meal, they get a free T-shirt and they get a free ride home from limousine service. They say, well, because it was in the budget, we can do it this year. So just bring that back to a future committee before any dollars are actually spent. We don't need to revisit that budget amount.
Mr. Mayor, to bring it back at the first committee meeting in May, would that be adequate? Or
That would be fine.
Okay.
I do remind you, one of the reasons it went up because was for the carnival, and we were going to get 25% of the gross. However, we still have to budget for the contributions we'll be receiving, and it looks like the contributions are going to double over what they were last year. A competition has developed somewhat between Itasca Bank and Trust and Suburban Bank and Trust, and so far we have pledges for contributions, according to the budget I've been provided, of $12,700 towards the cost of the event.
Alderman Ptolemy?
I remembered. You know, the last time we were talking about this, we were talking about the purchasing of tents. And I was informed by one of the residents that we do have a tent that is supposed to be stored at Public Works that they used to use for the bingo. That we could use that tent. So I don't know if you can find it, but it was the big bingo tent was bought and paid for already. So if you need a tent, I mean, it should be there. Wow. Agreed.
We have several smaller tents which have been donated, which are in storage. This year, though, we are expanding the bingo, and we're going to be using actually a bigger tent than we have in years past.
Mr. Manager?
Yes, as you can tell, we're scrambling to try to get the most out of the tourism money and plan the events in concert with the Park District. They've added some other events as well. And so in looking at, in concert with the Park District, we're looking at making the most of the money that we have, and we will provide you with a total list as soon as we have those figures locked in. And the reason why we're presenting this is for the reason that you have just said, to make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on and how we're proceeding.
Alderman Subak?
And my only direction to that committee is when they present it, they should present it based upon, this is what we need for these events to make them nice, and based upon the turnout we're expecting, even make them maybe a little bit better, as Alderman Wesley pitched he wanted to do, but not just based upon, well, this is the budget amount, now we work backwards, because I think the budget amount right now is slightly skewed by a day. Thank you. And you guys don't have to sit and wait. So. You have a wife and kids at home you can get to.
Okay, then I believe, so right now this item is for information only, is that correct? Because then we'll come back with the budget. So item for information only. Next item on our agenda is the Treasury report for the month of February. Mr. Manager?
Well, you received the Treasury's report, I believe, and we have the Finance Director here to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor?
I had raised the question last month. I understand we were going to consolidate everything or most everything over at Itasca Bank because they were going to pay Illinois funds plus 20 basis points. And I was assured that the money would be transferred by this report. If they're going to give us a higher interest rate, shouldn't we get it over there as quickly as possible?
Well, actually, we're following exactly what was recommended to the council last year. And that was not all the money going to Itasca. It was $6 million going to Itasca. And you'll see that we're actually at $7 million. That was the balance at the end of February.
Well, then let me follow up. What would be the reason for keeping it in an account that pays less interest?
Well, there's several reasons. The difference is not large, but we need to have some monies in the Illinois funds because the state requires us to have certain of their shared revenues deposited there. We also have all of our checking accounts, our disbursement accounts in the Illinois funds. So that's why there's some money there. The rest just has to do with diversification. You'll see that we have 3 CDs at 3 local banks. And the council approved the addition of the Illinois Metropolitan Investment Fund, that's called IMET, as part of this whole investment strategy. It doesn't make sense to have all of the city's money in one institution, and we're doing very, very well with the investment earnings with this current breakdown.
Could you give me a breakdown when we see this again next month, what we're getting on interest rates on each fund?
Certainly.
Ms. Powers, can you refresh my memory on where the special service area accounts, where that bank, what bank that's
Those
in?
are at the Illinois funds at US Bank. The reason why they are there is because the only disbursements that will be made from special service area funds are for the construction of the 3 areas that's starting this summer and for the principal and interest payments. So they stay there because we can easily disperse the monies to the banks for the principal and interest payments and then into this disbursement account, this general disbursement account when we pay the contractors. We have to be very, very careful to account for every dollar of special service area bond money. As you may recall, with special service area 11, the city actually has abated those taxes in the last few years because there were interest earnings on the bonds. Then the project took place for special service area 11, and there were remaining monies left in the special service area 11 fund. The only way to return those back to the taxpayers is through abating the current levy. And the same will be true here when we finish 12, 13, and 14. If there are any monies left over, then the city council will have a levy abatement given to them every December for consideration so that these monies can be paid back to the taxpayers.
Thank you. Alderman Subak.
And Maggie, when you use the word taxpayers, I just want to make sure everybody's clear. Those are the taxpayers in the industrial park. That's where the special service areas were placed to redo the roads, but not by the general residents.
Absolutely.
Taxpayers.
It's all people who are in the special service area. These are the people who were invited to hearings, who were given complete plans about the improvements and maintenance that was being done in those areas, and they are the only people who pay the property tax for these bonds.
Alderman Ptolemy.
Yeah, Maggie, next month, would you give this, the information to the mayor? Could you also provide the council with the breakdown of the Illinois funds account as far as what portion of those dollars are those special service areas? Or is it all the special service areas, and that's
Well,
all the money that's there?
It's on this report right here. If you look at the
So it's the whole
third
9
line,
million?
the special service area accounts,
Right,
8,042,335.24. That's all Illinois funds.
okay, so it is just those special service areas, pretty
Yes.
much? Okay,
That's all it is.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so for clarification, Mr. Mayor, you're looking for the corresponding interest rate next to each?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So item for information only, other than for our next report, Ms. Powers, if you can prepare with the interest rate. Next item is the 2007-2008 budget is now available for public inspection. And Ms. Powers, would you care to add anything more to that?
Just that the notification was published in the newspaper announcing that the budget was available for the public to inspect. That is available at the clerk's office. The budget hearing will take place next Thursday on April 19th, prior to the regular city council meeting.
Thank you. Alderman Subak?
On that item, Maggie, did we ever make a final determination? Because my finance committees are winding up quickly, but one of the pledges that at least some of us had made that was if we passed that 1% sales tax, that we were going to do some type of give back or rebate to the residents who assisted in passing it. I know we rolled back the vehicle stickers, but quite honestly, when we rolled back the vehicle stickers, seniors went from paying maybe it was $2 to $1. So a senior really didn't get anything for going to vote for that sales tax. When it failed the first time, there was a big push, and I think the information got out better and the residents responded. I want to make sure we responded and give something back. And unfortunately, I thought it was going to be as a future item tonight, but I can tie it into this item. There have been different proposals, and I'm trying to get this done as quickly and easily as possible. One of my earlier proposals was a straight $25 rebate on your water bill, and or an alternative, if they want to purchase one of the garbage cans, if we pass that later, they can come and get a $25 discount on the garbage can. How hard would that administratively be to do if we wanted to pass that?
Alderman Zubak, I don't think it would be difficult at all, so long as we had some paperwork to use as our source to offer the credits. And that's just because there's 4,600 or so utility customers that would be involved with this, and they would not all be participating at exactly the same time. For instance, for the garbage toters, which I believe Jeff Murmas is going to talk about at the next committee meeting. But he and I have discussed this, and what we would do is either offer the credit or offer to reduce the selling price of the toter
Right.
by that same amount, okay? And then for those who didn't participate in the toter program, then they could have the credit just on their utility bill. And that could be for both people who pay water, sewer, and refuse, also for sewer-only customers, because we have some of those as well
Right.
who reside in town. That would probably be the most straightforward way to do it. Probably the most difficulty would be deciding what time frame to allow people to decide about the toters, because we'd have to have a cutoff point
And
before we gave credits to the others who didn't participate.
I think on, if you gave them 1 year, fiscal year 2007, 2008, and by April 30th of 08, if they didn't take it, it automatically came off their water bill. So at least we get it done in this next fiscal year.
Mhm.
And if the next council, wants to reverse it, they can reverse it before it actually gets in place. You can bring it back. But actually, this is a policy decision. I'd like to pass something tonight to say that, at least, we stood by our recommendation or our, what we said we would do. And if it wants to get reversed later, that's fine. But I'll be able to sleep at night knowing at least I recommended the passage. So I'd make a motion to direct staff to do a $25 rebate on the water, sewer, or garbage bill, water refuge or sewer bill, or alternatively, allow the residents a $25 credit towards the purchase of a garbage can to be done in fiscal year 2007, 2008.
Second, and on the question, so I think we need to add in there though, but for the multi-dwellings, it would be per tax ID within that building. Would that be the best way to ensure that if there's a high-rise and there's 134 units in there, there would be $25 times 134 that would go on that water bill?
Yes, Chairman Winger, I think that'd be the only fair way to do it. And I would have to coordinate with the building department to get the exact number of units. I'm not sure we have that in our utility bill files, but we could get that.
Okay. And does the motioner agree?
Right, and I just would say that when that money's sent, we should let that board know that, because then that would be, if it's, what's your town, if it's Georgetown Town Home Association that pays the water bill, their residents might not know, or they might or may not know that that instead of their bill being $90,000 for Dominion Drive, this next month it's $70,000. Those residents should know that, hey, your board got a $10,000 reduction in their bill. It's not our responsibility to let them know, it's their boards. And then if they take that $10,000 and give it back to the members of Dominion, great, but that's their board decision to do.
Right. Alderman Shockey.
I'd be happy to let you sleep better, really, Alderman Sobek, but it's not on the agenda, and I'd like to ask the mayor if that would be a legality problem, if we're making a motion here on something that was not on the agenda.
It is probably not appropriate to do this under treasurer's report, or whatever item we're under at this point, no.
We're under the, Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, we're under the budget, and it's a report on the budget that hasn't been finalized yet, so I'm directing staff to make sure that the budget as passed will either have these numbers in it, because we will need to account for
Unfortunately,
this
though,
money.
this is listed as a information item, not an action item, just informing the public that the budget is available for inspection. So if he's asking for me for a point of order ruling, yeah, it would not be appropriate.
It's not that I'm against it, Marshall, but I just think perhaps we need some discussion about it. I agree with the concept, definitely, but I think it should be done correctly so that we don't have any problem in the future.
Mr. Mayor, is it acceptable that I entertain, since I'm the chairperson, entertain it as a separate line item at this meeting?
Not at this meeting, no, you would have to do that at a future meeting, because it's not on the agenda tonight, so the public at large hasn't gotten notice that that would be discussed and acted on tonight.
Okay. Alderman Wesley?
My question on that then, is there a way that we, if we don't pass that tonight, is there a way that we could do it, before, bring it right to council on Thursday, or is that not appropriate?
That I can add to the council agenda next Thursday. That is appropriate.
Okay, but
Now, I will caution, the chairman has the right to object that it hasn't gone to committee yet and pull it off the council agenda. But the council agenda is mine, and that has not gone out yet, so I can add that to the agenda.
And I would concur with adding it to the agenda. Alderman Wesley.
may I then ask the staff to work the numbers before Thursday night's meeting on this motion on the floor, or not? May I?
Please do.
Okay. The other consideration that I have is, and I think we need to, before we move forward with this, and I agree, let's move it to Thursday night since we can't do it tonight, but we also need to see about the LI waste container on the proposal tonight before move forward. But I agree, we should make some commitment to it, and I think we could do it on Thursday since obviously we can't do it tonight.
It's not obvious we can't do it tonight. I understand the procedural issues. I may disagree, but Mr. Mayor, I do have you have 2 aldermen now. I'll be 3 aldermen that have requested you will put it on the agenda. Do you need that in writing from the 2 aldermen? I think the rules formally provide that we just put it in writing. Do you need that in writing?
I do not need that in writing. Would you please add that to the agenda for next Thursday?
Does anyone else wish to be recognized? Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Alderman Wesley?
Are we taking a motion off the floor? There's a motion on the floor.
I don't know if it was valid, but
I'll withdraw the
But
motion.
will you,
I'm
okay,
not-
and the seconder agrees. Thank you. Then, next item is items to be considered at future meetings. Item A, 2006, 2007 budget amendment. Item B, special census. And item C, alternative financing for early retirement incentive. And then I'll add an item D, which will be at the first committee in May to review the special events, new budget proposal. Are there any other items? Alderman Shockey.
Madam Chairman, we talked last week about, quite extensively, about giving reports when we go to conferences. I have noticed that, in going back over some of the bills we've paid, that staff also goes to conferences. I'd like to have on the agenda a discussion perhaps of having staff give a report when the conference costs are over a certain amount of money, whatever it may be.
Mr. Manager, does that sound acceptable to you that in future meetings that if someone does go to a conference, we'll receive a report?
I have no problems with that request. The staff has to do it, as Alderman Shockey has said. There is a lot of cost involved in it. It will take up some time of the council, if that's what the council so directs.
Well, the reports that the council have given have been pretty precise and quick. They weren't half-hour discussions. And that's what I'm thinking about also for staff, so that we understand why they went to a conference. It's just a brief overview. I don't think that would take up that much of their time or our time, giving this report on that.
And Alderman Shockey, are you asking for a face-to-face, or can it be a written report put in our packet
Oh, I think it should be face-to-face.
to come before us?
Yeah, same thing we do.
Alderman Subak?
I believe we're still under the managerial form of government. I think that's going to go into personnel and training. That's delegated to the manager. The police officers get training constantly. If you think we're going to spend money to have overtime and officers come here and give a report of what he learned in recent DUI training or DUI prosecution, again, that's a managerial form. That's personnel that should be limited to the manager of the city of Wooddale.
And along those lines, though, perhaps our city manager should come and say, someone within Department X, Y, Z went to a conference, and here's the reason why, and here's what they got out of it, and now they're on the path for certification of ABC. So maybe that responsibility could be our city managers.
That would be acceptable in cases like the police department, sure. Sure.
Okay. And would that be acceptable to you, just to let us know that someone went to a conference and why? Mr. Manager?
Well, we do require them to fill out a report. I can simply